Well, hello there, viewers. My name is Angelica Fenori, and you are tuning in for another awesome episode of Ramblings Live. We are in the midst of September, which means fall, pumpkin spice lattes, back to school, and soccer. So, to bring all of those things to some soccer head coaches joining us today. One, an alumni of Westchester University, the other, the head coach of Westchester University. So I'm going to test my soccer skills. My brother was a big soccer player all of his life. I don't know what offsides means. All I know is they kick the ball and they run around. It seems fun. So we're actually going to learn from the experts themselves. But as always, please put your comments in the comment sections. We are still pulling winners for that 150th anniversary raffle prize. So if you want a goodie or some Westchester Pride gear, make sure to put those comments. So let's get right in. Let's start rambling with Coach Koski from Lehigh University, an alumni of Westchester University, and Coach Ben, who is the head coach of Westchester University. So welcome, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. It's so awesome to have you in the Ramblings crew.
Thank you.
Yep, excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, you both have the same haircut, so I guess that must run in the head coach, aspect. But I'm going to start right with Coach Koski. So tell us a little bit about your time at Westchester. What did you study? When did you graduate? What made you even choose to go there?
Well, I graduated in 1980, and I was a health and phys ed major at Westchester, largely because I didn't really enjoy any other subject when I was in high school, and I wasn't good at any other subject, and I loved being around sports. So I certainly didn't have aspirations to be a college coach back then. I chose Westchester because one day I was walking through the hallways of Cherry Hill East, where I went to high school, and my English teacher, Doug Lyons, who I'm still friends with today, just pulled me aside my junior year, like, "Hey, where are you going to college?" I'm like, "I don't know, Mr. Lyons." And he goes, "Well, what do you like?" Just studying. I'm like, "Gym." So I went down to the phys ed office and asked some phys ed teachers, "What's a good phys ed college?" They're all like, Westchester. And Doug said, "You're going to Westchester." And like, okay, that's where I'm going to go. And fortunately, I was able to make the soccer team and get a degree there.
So there's your graduating photo right there.
Yeah,
Do you remember that day, or does that feel like yesterday, or does that feel farther away?
It feels light years away to me, and looks light years away to me because of the head of hair, and I don't think I was even shaven back then. But
wow.
Yeah, but I don't know when that picture was taken. I would imagine sometime my senior year, and it's interesting to me, but it's good memories for me back at Westchester.
I wonder what you ate, for lunch after that photo. It's like snapshots frozen in time. It's so funny because gym was my least favorite subject. So it's so fascinating when people are like, gym's my favorite and I want to study it. I'm trying to get as far away as possible from it. Now, if you can go back to your time at campus, do you remember where you lived on campus in Westchester? And then did you ever live off campus? And do you remember where that was?
Oh, yeah. I lived in Killinger Hall, which was an all men's dormitory back then. You did not want to walk through there if you were not a male. It was a bit of an animal house, but I loved it. I lived there 3 years, 2 years just in the dorm, and then I think my junior year I was an RA, which I really enjoyed being an RA. And
nice.
Yeah, and look, and I'm sure for Coach Ben too. We had to hustle back then. Aside from playing soccer, I was an RA to get a free room, and I think I got paid $60 a month to do that. I worked at the Treadway Inn as a busboy, and then I worked at the local gas station, the Shell gas station, on Sundays. I wore the shirt Walt, so my roommate Rich Cooper, who is also an alum, still calls me Walt today because I'd come home with the Walt on and hustled playing or refereeing intramurals for $1 a game. But it was a busy time, but it was a great time, and I don't have any regrets for that. And I think there was a second part to your question that I forget.
Well, now I have a follow-up question. When did you have time to study? Did you study or?
Well, I was a phys ed major. I mean, it was sports. So
yeah, I guess that's easy studying, right?
I didn't quite understand that I would also have to take kinesiology, physiology, applied physiology, anatomy, and all that, and chemistry, and I wasn't great on the sciences. So there were some classes I was a little bit overwhelmed. In fact, I think I had all my pre-med requirements by the time I was finished, other than 1 or 2 biology classes.
Oh, wow. So you can go live a second life and be a doctor if you want
to. Yeah, that ship has sailed. That's above me, as Coach Ben will say.
Now, what is your connection to Coach Ben? Because you were telling me a little bit earlier, and there's definitely, you two have been kind of simultaneously connected for a long time.
Well, I coached him when he was 15 years old for a soccer club in South Jersey. He was my sweeper back because when he was 14, 15, he was the tallest guy in the team back then, and he was quite good. And then I recruited him when I got the job at Westchester at Lehigh. I recruited Mike. He was a captain for me, played 4 years for me, and then he stayed on. He had aspirations to be a college coach and stayed and got his master's at Lehigh, I think, in education. Is that right, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, in education. 3 years with me, and then he went on to ECU and coached there for a number of years. And then he came back and was my associate head coach for, I don't know, how many years was that as associate? 8 years. So we spent a lot of time together. And for him to be coaching at my alma mater was really a great opportunity for Mike, but I couldn't be happier that he stepped in and is the head coach at Westchester.
So Coach Ben, how did you end up at Westchester?
I was fortunate, to be honest with you. I was really enjoyed working for Dean at my alma mater, and I'd been a head coach before at East Carolina for 2 years, and it wasn't the best experience. And so I knew I wanted to be a head coach again, but I was going to be really picky about perhaps where I was going to try to pursue that. And Westchester just checks off so many boxes. Great location, great school, fantastic athletic department. Certainly, Dean certainly helped me get this job with his recommendation and things like that. And so, I'm very fortunate to be working at Westchester.
That's awesome. I mean, the resume can be as full as it needs to be, but nothing helps more than like a glowing recommendation, right? Especially from another head coach over at Lehigh. So that's awesome. This photo is very intense.
It helped too that the current AD, Ed Matakovic, was my supervisory teacher when I did my student teaching. So I knew Ed back when he was also a phys ed teacher at Great Valley High School, I think it was, where I did my student teaching. So I knew Ed and he remembered me, and so it was easy to pick up the phone and make a recommendation to him.
The circle always helps, right? You can't beat it.
Sure.
So how long have you been a coach at Westchester, Coach Ben? How long has it been?
This fall will be my 9th season.
Wow, 9th season. That's
ninth
a long...
season.
So what year did you start?
2013.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so cool. That's when I was starting. I was a freshman in 2012. So, but I definitely was not on the soccer field, so we would have never crossed. Never even really went down to the South Campus as a comm major. But so it's funny. Now, when you're getting ready for a game, what's like your go-to prep before a game? Because looking at that photo, you got the glasses on, you're in game mode, ready to win. What's like your pre-game process?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I just kind of find a little quiet space for 5-10 minutes before I talk to the team. And then one of the great things about soccer is that I really think it's a player's game. As coaches, our job is on the training field. Certainly we can make some adjustments in a game, but the players are the ones making the decisions, and we have no opportunities to call timeouts. And so, it's really about just giving them, some last minute instruction and then letting them go out and see if they can apply what we tried to teach them.
That's so true. I mean, soccer's kind of, it is what it is on the field type of deal. So like offsides, what is it? It is what it is, right? So kind of speak to me about the men's soccer program success since you joined on in 2013. How has it been going?
Yeah, our program's in a good spot right now. We've had 7 seasons where we've played. Unfortunately, we missed in 2020 with COVID. Right. But in the 7 seasons, we made the PSAC semifinals 6 times. We've been in the last 4 NCAA tournaments, which is a nice little run for us. In 2018, we advanced to the national championship game. And so it certainly has been a good run recently, and we're hoping to keep it rolling moving forward.
Now, kind of speaking of the pandemic, this goes to both of you. Really, how has it been navigating, the team and your personal life and professional life through the pandemic? How has it been?
Dean, you want to go first?
It hasn't been fun. There's no part of it that I've enjoyed. There's no part of it that was exciting for me. It distanced me, and I'm sure, Coach Ben, from our players. We didn't get to coach enough. We didn't get to compete enough. We didn't get to have a normal preseason like we hopefully will have coming up, in the next week. Personally, it was not fun being at home and doing yard work when I had free time, because I wasn't able to even coach club, and we weren't allowed to recruit. Unfortunately for Coach Ben and D3 coaches, they could still get out and recruit. We couldn't even go recruiting. So I would tell you that pandemic year was as frustrating and tough years I've had in my 30 years at Lehigh, and I pray we don't go back to any part of that. But I think the things that I learned was that I'm not ready to retire. That I love what I do as a coach. I don't want to do yard work. I don't want to do gardening as a retirement job, and I just want to show up every day and come in the office and be a part of Lehigh's, Lehigh University and Lehigh men's soccer program, because that's, to me, that brings me a great level of satisfaction and happiness.
Team dynamics are amazing. I played sports throughout grade school and high school, and seeing, my cousins and my brother, like, I don't even know how they kept it going. And now that everybody's going back, spirits are still high, but they definitely did lose out on that. So that's never fun. And Coach Ben, how did you navigate it all?
Yeah, echo a lot of what Dean says. It was very difficult, and particularly because I think, as coaches, we didn't get to do the things we love most. And for our student athletes, a lot of them identify as soccer players, and they didn't get the opportunity to be a part of that group dynamic. It was a very difficult time. A lot of them from, learning on home, on Zooms and those types of things, and trying to just support them and trying to not contribute to Zoom fatigue for them and those types of things. It was a very challenging time that was, a little bit outside of our main comfort zone, much more at home on the soccer field, teaching there, but trying to, help give them as much support as we could over a computer certainly made it a challenging time.
Now, as we hopefully transition into post-pandemic life, what are you most looking forward to this season? Being back on the field, being with the team. What are you most hopeful for and looking forward to?
Go ahead, Mike.
The camaraderie, just first and foremost, the relationships. I mean, I think that, working hard together, trying to accomplish a goal together, and all the little moments that go along with that. The jokes, the good times, the bad times. We really missed out on that in this past year. And that's, going through that whole process is really the most important part of the job.
We're in a career where relationships are really important. And as Mike said, that camaraderie, that experiencing the opportunity to watch young men and probably boys, we would say, certainly for a lot of them, to grow and develop as people, as soccer players, as students, and being a part of that process, whether it's, preparing in preseason for your upcoming season, or just seeing how much the seniors have matured and grown into adults. And so all that is so important to Mike and I, and being in this business, if you will. It's all about development, all about relationships. And, we want to see all of our alumni go on and achieve great things when they graduate. Very few of them will be pro soccer players, even at our school. So, we're trying to groom them to be the best versions of themselves, to be self-leaders, and to go on and have successful careers, and hopefully, happy careers.
That's awesome. Now, all of this talk about coaching and development, it makes me ask a side question. As soccer professionals, are either one of you watching Ted Lasso?
Watch the first season. Yes, I've not started the second season yet.
You have to, because it's phenomenal.
It is. And the one thing I'll say about that, then what has drawn me to appreciate that, one, it's very endearing, but two, and look, I don't want to say it's schmaltzy, because it's not. They just do a good job. He is all about the importance of relationships, and while we are still going to go out and try to recruit the best players we can possibly recruit, Mike and I both know that every team that we've either been on or that has been successful or we've coached, it's because the group got along really well and the group trusted one another, and there was this group chemistry that it's hard. It's like catching lightning in a bottle. You just can't manufacture it, but you try to recruit it and you try to coach into it. And Ted Lasso represents a lot of that to me, and that certainly I really appreciate it as a good show. I think it might be a little bit above Mike's head in terms of some of that stuff, but beyond that, it's a really good show. So watch season 2, Coach Ben.
Yeah, because season 2 so far has been all about development.
Yes.
I think it's one of the most endearing shows, and it makes me want to go be a professional soccer coach, kind of, because it's so great. So speaking of games and sports, let's actually play a game ourselves. So obviously you're gonna have to tap into some of your memory, like Coach Koski and Coach Dean. You probably will be the winner of this because you're on campus. But we're going to play Guess the Building. So we're going to put up some photos, and whoever can buzz in first and say what the building is wins. I don't know what you're winning, but you're going to win something. So we'll have the photo pop up. You can make your own fictional buzzer if you want to go me, whatever works best. Yell out the building. When I played this game, I realized just how bad I am at this. So I'm very intrigued to see how both of you do.
What I would do is let me guess, and then Coach Ben will know whether I'm right or wrong.
Oh, different approach.
See, he's just trying to set it up so he gets the answer first, and he gets the point because he wants to win. I know his tricks too easily.
That is
Phillips Memorial. Is that Phillips Memorial?
Is it, Coach Ben?
Yes, Asplund Phillips Memorial. Yes.
All right, you win.
1-0 me.
All right. So the next one.
No idea.
That's the old original library.
That is. That's
but
right.
Is there a name to it?
It was Harvey Green, I believe.
Is that right?
I believe that's right. I know there's
Yes. All right. You got it. Good. All right. So 1-1.
I should have brushed up. I can't even decide if this.
Hold on, Coach Ben. Don't shout out. I don't remember that building.
I believe that is Recitation Hall.
That is right. As I like to call the teacher building. That's where all the teachers
College of Education. Yep.
All right. So all right, go ahead. Next one. Oh, I don't know.
This is going to be too easy for me. That's Ruby Jones, I believe.
Yes. All right. So I think Coach Ben's winning.
Well, all right, fair enough. But listen, I know that Coach Ben did not go. If you go back to Recitation Hall, Gary Monaco and I discovered that one night when we walked across campus that there were these tunnels underneath campus, and we were able to, at the side of the building, it might have been Recitation Hall, there were these big bushes, and we saw this steam stack coming out. We shimmied down into the steam stack and went into all these tunnels that were awesome underneath we just walked all through campus. And then we came out in the middle of campus in this trapdoor right by the library area, that quad area there. That trapdoor goes down to those tunnels. But in those tunnels were these rooms and bunk beds and rations and newspapers back from the 50s, 60s. Yeah, they were tunnels. They were for the war. They were built. What would you call those tunnels?
Bomb shelters.
Bomb shelter. They're bomb shelters. Yeah. Really cool.
So you just proved the myth. I mean, all 4 years of college, everybody was like, did you hear there's tunnels under the quad that connects all the buildings? And, there was a group of people that said, there's no tunnels, that's a myth. And then there were a group of people who were like, there are tunnels.
No, there are tunnels. Now, I don't know whether they wouldn't seal them. They would seal them off, but they wouldn't fill them with cement because they were just too big. But,
and you got to walk through it? That's
it was midnight.
That's a dream of mine.
We felt like we were,
ghost hunters.
For goodness sake, Tom Cruise. What is he always in?
Mission Impossible.
We were Mission Impossible, yeah.
That is so fun. I can't believe that. I'm so jealous.
I get bonus points for that story.
Yeah, you do. I think he actually wins.
That's tied, at least.
So we got Ruby Jones. So then the one after that is.
You have no idea.
It really helps that I give tours on campus for my prospective student athletes. I believe that's Anderson.
That is Anderson. That's the best one because it lines Church Street.
Yep.
Yeah, see, when I was there, we didn't have trees.
Really?
So the trees threw me off.
That's why I went to Westchester. I loved the trees.
Yeah, the trees were good. We didn't even have electricity when I was there. We were still working on candlelight.
No, you weren't. Don't you stop that. Well, that was awesome. That was so Coach Ben, you do win. You win bragging rights and you win a fictional trophy that's in the mail right now. But Coach Dean does win awesome bragging rights for making its way to the tunnel. I can't believe that. So speaking of being an alumni, I know Men's Soccer Alumni Day is on the horizon coming up on September 25th. So Coach Ben, if you just want to share a little bit more about what's happening, how can folks register, and then how can other people kind of help donate to support the men's soccer program?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really looking forward to September 25th. Mm-hmm. We play Millersville at noon that day. So it's our biggest rival in the PSAC. It is Soccer Alumni Day, and we're looking forward to welcoming back as many soccer alumni as we can. You can register at the Alumni Association. The other thing we're going to be doing that day is we're going to make it Senior Day for our 2020 seniors, the ones that missed out on their senior day last year with COVID. So we're hoping to be able to give them their day that they missed out on. And certainly, anyone looking to continue to support our program can contact the WCU Foundation and just let them know that you want to support men's soccer.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you're giving the 2020 seniors a senior day because I know so many who missed out on that. So that's awesome. All right.
I thought it meant for me to come back as
Yes,
a senior citizen.
as a senior.
I'm glad you clarified that.
So just kind of looking back, a little bit of some rapid fire questions. Well, not so much rapid fire, just some fun questions. Coach Dean, what is your favorite memory as a WCU student? I feel like it has to be the tunnels.
Well, wait, are we talking about student athlete or are we talking about student?
Let's do both. What was your favorite part as a student? Favorite part of being a student athlete?
Well, my favorite part of student was my first 2 years living in the dorm and being away from home and being around all guys. And look, it just was really cool to be a part of the campus culture there and obviously part of the team culture. And for a student athlete, winning the, back then was ECAC championship my sophomore year, beating American at American was certainly a highlight of mine as a player, because anytime you're on a championship team, that's forever, and I'll remember that season fondly as well as the players on that team fondly.
Now, what number are you here in this photo?
Number 7, right in the middle.
Oh, right in the middle. Dead front. That's good. Yeah. Now, what position did you play?
I was a midfielder and a forward, but more on the attacking side of the ball, shockingly, because I'm a defensive-minded coach, as Coach Ben will tell you, and I think he is too. But it was a good group of guys, and still connected with some of them. Some of them are involved in coaching, which is great because you get to see them around. But they're all, that was a good team.
Now, what does it mean to be a defensive-minded coach?
We focus. I would rather work with my backs and my goalkeeper and build a defensive system than work with the attackers. I think I just have a mind that's more. I think as an attacking coach, you have to have a really creative mind and be fairly liberal, and I'm neither. And so I do think that being structured and having constraints to me is really important to work within. And I'm guessing, Coach Ben, you feel the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Coach Ben, what's been your favorite memory as the Westchester head coach?
Yeah, there's been a lot, but if I had to pick a favorite, it certainly would be our run in 2018. It's a national championship game. In the Sweet 16, when we defeated the University of Charleston, who was the defending national champion, they had knocked us out of the 2 previous NCAA tournaments, and to that point in the year, they'd only given up 3 goals. And so we ended up beating them 1-0. And that was certainly a highlight because then they went on and won the national championship the following year as well. So they're kind of the benchmark right now that we keep running into. But to beat them that day and then to go on and beat Adelphi after a snowstorm in New York and having to change venues and those types of things, that certainly was the most satisfying weekend of my career professionally.
That sounds awesome. Now, where was the last game that you played? What you said it was in New York? Did you travel?
Well, that was the quarterfinal, or excuse me, the Sweet 16 and the quarterfinal were in New York. The first one was at LIU Post on a grass field, and then a snowstorm came, and so the field was unplayable. So we actually had to go play the Elite 8 game at Hofstra on the turf at Hofstra. So there was a lot going on that weekend.
Now, I know my brother feels strongly, but do you prefer to play on real grass, or turf? What do you think? What are the pros and cons?
I prefer to play.
All right, I like that. Put that on a shirt.
I don't care if it's grass, turf, or parking lot. Let us show up and compete. If I was playing, I'd probably prefer a little bit of grass, but we just want to have the chance to go out and play.
Gotcha. I always hated the little pebbles under the turf. Always got in the way. All right, so Coach Koski, what is your favorite? What makes you proud to be an alumni of Westchester?
Well, the tradition of the soccer program, men's soccer program, being national champs back in the early 60s, I think, and always having a reputation as a soccer program in Division I soccer and in Division II soccer as being hard-nosed, tough, and competitors. And I think that tradition amazingly is carried on. I know that Coach Ben's team, and look, when you take a team to a national championship game in any division, and that's incredibly powerful and something that Coach Ben undersold it. That doesn't happen like that. Look, I've been coaching 30 years and I haven't even gotten anywhere close to a national championship game. The best we've gotten here was Sweet 16, and that felt like national championship in some ways. So It's for me. I would just say that I'm proud to be affiliated with the Westchester program. I'm certainly really proud of my degree from Westchester because it has enabled me to be in the career that I am today. And having taught health and PE for 12 or 7, 8 years at a Quaker school in Jersey helped kind of groom and shape me in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to. But the school is as I would say to Coach Ben and others, I think it's the best school in the PSACs, and Coach Ben has certainly made sure that the program is arguably the best program I think in the PSACs, and with his consistency of success, and that makes me proud to be an alum.
I mean, that answer made me proud to be an alum, and I even play men's soccer, so I that was awesome. So on the same notion, Coach Ben, what makes you proud to be a staff member of Westchester University?
Yeah, I think, we touched on this earlier. We're in a profession about relationships, and I feel very fortunate with the young men that we've had in our program, currently and in the past, but also everyone else I get to work with. I think there's just a lot of great quality people at the university in the athletic department that care about the student experience, and I think that this university just gets it, at least from my perspective, and it makes it a very enjoyable place to work.
That's awesome. I do love Westchester. Every time I hear somebody talk about Westchester, I just get a big grin on my face. So now for both of you, what is your best advice for either a current student coming into Westchester or the graduating students?
Go ahead, Dean.
Every 17, 18-year-old is going to have some idea of what they think they want to study in college, and certainly they should experience all that, and try to figure that out. But don't lock themselves into a specific major too early, and be open-minded about the possibilities, because 75% of graduating alumni in today's world end up working in a field that they didn't study. And it's really important, and I know it's cliche, but I say this: pursue your passion, or pursue something that you're going to love doing, because if you love your career and you love your job, you're never going to feel like it's work. You're going to show up and enjoy it and get the most out of it. And while I know that a lot of young people are focused on coming out and making a lot of money, and I know my son Alec, has some friends who have been working in Wall Street and working 80-hour weeks and not having a life of their own and making a lot of money, but they're all miserable. So I think if they could figure out what they're going to be most excited about doing for the rest of their lives, that's what they should pursue, and find a way to make that work. And for any graduate student, same thing. Like, look, you're going to get a graduate degree. Get a graduate degree in something that you can apply to later in life.
I love that response.
I know I should have went first because, I've worked too long with Dean. He's too big an influence on me. But my thing was going to be find your passion and chase it. Life is too short to be miserable with what you're doing. Your profession often takes up a large part of your life. And so to find something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about, it makes life that much better. So, I'm very fortunate with the line of work that I got into, and can't imagine doing anything else, working with young people. So find what excites you, and find a way to make that work.
Well, I don't think there's any harm in hearing that message twice. So on that note, we are going to go break for a commercial real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll do some final thoughts and we'll wrap up. So for the commercial break, Chantal, am I okay just to read this word for word? It's so nice that she can cut this up. The perks of being a Westchester University alumni just got a whole lot better with Perks Connect at no cost member benefit. As a Westchester University Perks Connect member, you get exclusive offers and discounts on over 300,000 local deals, including dining, sporting events, movie tickets, concert tickets, travel, home, and auto insurance, and a whole lot more. Register today and start saving. If you would like to feature alumni business on our Perks Network, please contact us. I didn't even know about that. This sounds great. I want travel perks. What do I get? Anywho, all right. Well, welcome back from the commercial. We are just wrapping up with our two soccer head coaches. So I'm just going to do some soccer questions, like for our sports fans out there, because I watch sports. I try to follow it, but I don't know a thing at all. So why can soccer? This is what I've always been curious about. Why can soccer end on a tie?
Go ahead, Coach Ben.
That's an excellent question. I think because when people were establishing the rules, they realized that for running around for 90 minutes without much of a break, it'd be maybe cruel to ask them to continue to go and try to break that tie. So that's my best guess. But it's a physically and mentally grueling game when you're out there running for 90 minutes. And so sometimes you just need it to end.
Ugh, that is true.
Yeah, and look, when you think midfielders are running anywhere between 7 to 10 miles a game, and it's a combination of running, sprinting, jumping, dribbling and shooting, and then so it's a lot of wear and tear and a lot of demands. I know that the NCAA didn't have an overtime restriction, and I think there was one NCAA championship game that might have gone to 15 overtimes. That's why they put in the penalty kicks, because just you're asking too much of student athletes, and even of any level player.
Yeah.
And so at the end, and also be mindful that when soccer started, we didn't have lights, and so if there are games that were played later in the day, it started to get dark. They were like, hey, let's call it a day and let's end in a tie. And look, I know that people don't like it. We're used to it, and because we know that tie in the road is getting points, and it's a low-scoring game to begin with, and I just think it makes you appreciate the nuances of the game a little bit more. And so I have no issues with ties, and I wouldn't change that rule.
Now, would you prefer to win, the championship games? Would you prefer to win in extra overtime, or would you prefer to win in a shootout? I love a good shootout. I wish every game ended with a shootout.
Not a shootout for me. Okay. I would rather get the win while the other team was trying to stop us through the flow of play, if at all possible.
I think the penalty kicks right now is the best way we have to solve the tie when you're in the championships. But I'd much rather the game be settled on the field. I've been on both ends of penalty kick shootouts when I know our team was better on the field, but we just couldn't score and we lose in penalty kicks, and that's really heartbreaking for the players. Really heartbreaking.
I guess that's like a good coaching logistics, but from a viewer, it's such good drama. You're just like on the edge of your seat. Like specifically with that, I actually watched the Italy versus Britain game. And that's the most intense I've ever reacted to a sporting event in my life. Like I actually was closing my eyes. It was great. So I do love a good. And as an Italian, I was very proud. And then last soccer question: who do you think has the most difficult job on the field? Do you think it's like the goalie? Do you think it's the offenders? Who do you think really has the most difficult job on the field?
Wait, besides the coach?
Besides the coach.
Okay, because that's why we don't have hair. You see, most soccer players have hair. Right?
That's true. That's a good way to.
All right, Coach Ben, what do you think?
Well, I think my guys are going to see this, so I need to be careful if I answer this question. I would probably say it depends on which way you're attacking, but I'll say probably the most difficult. I'll go with the goalkeeper, because they're in the unfortunate position that if they make a mistake, everyone's going to see it, and it's often going to hurt your team. And the mental strength that's required in that position to be able to overcome those types of things. They certainly don't have the most physically demanding in terms of getting up and down the field, but mentally, I think it's a very taxing position.
Yeah, I don't know how goalies do it.
Yeah, I would echo that. There's, when a field player makes a mistake, a goalkeeper or a goal scorer misses a shot, it's unlucky, you get it back, but when a goalkeeper makes a mistake and it goes in the back of the net, that immediately impacts the team, and that's, you got to be mentally tough to be a good goalkeeper and be a successful goalkeeper, and because you're the last man back there. And I would agree with Coach Ben wholeheartedly that's probably the toughest position to play, because you could go for 10-15 minutes and not touch a ball and not see the ball, right? And then suddenly there's a counterattack and you're called in action and the goal scored on the first shot, and everybody's looking at you like, well, how did that happen? And you don't want, no one ever says it's your fault, but I know some keepers feel like it's their fault in that time.
I mean, every soccer player has the most difficult position. Those fields are huge, and they're constant. Again, I guess another soccer question is, how big is the actual field?
Rockwell Field on campus, I believe, is 120 yards long by 76 yards wide.
That's a lot of yards.
Yeah, I believe it's the same. And there's some fluctuation. Some fields are smaller. You can't go much bigger than 120 by 80, I think. But it's a lot. It's wider than a football field and longer than a football field. So,
that's good. I'm going to save that for my quizzes coming up. There we go. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. It's been awesome to talk to both both to you. I wish you the best of luck on both your seasons, but a little bit more towards Coach Ben, as an alumni. Really want Westchester to win, but best of luck to both to you, and have fun at your alumni soccer day. That sounds so awesome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Angelica. Great job.